March 1944, Berlin. Inside the towering halls of the Reich Ministry for Armaments, a single folder marked secret, for the minister only, landed on Albert Speer's polished mahogany desk. Inside that folder lay a truth colder than winter steel, a truth that would shatter the last illusions of Nazi power. Speer, once hailed as Hitler's miracle man, had turned Germany into a war machine. Aircraft output had tripled. Tank and ammunition production were soaring. Hitler himself called him a genius. But this time, the numbers told a different story. The document revealed that German factories were on pace to build nearly 40,000 aircraft in 1944, a figure Speer had proudly presented to Hitler only weeks earlier. But across the ocean, the United States was producing 96,000 aircraft that same year, and that didn't even count British or Soviet output. The most terrifying part was that America wasn't straining to do it. While German cities burned under relentless Allied bombing, American factories thrived, calm, methodical, and unstoppable. They were producing ships, tanks, trucks, and bombers at a scale that defied logic, all while their civilian economy remained strong. Reports from neutral nations confirmed what the Nazi leadership refused to believe. At Willow Run, Michigan, Ford's plant was building a 4-engine B-24 Liberator bomber every 63 minutes. One facility, 2 shifts, 6 days a week. Even if the numbers were exaggerated, and they weren't, the math was still devastating. Swedish engineers, Japanese diplomats, and intelligence intercepts all confirmed the same truth. America's industrial machine was unmatched. In Germany, production was hidden behind secrecy and fear. In America, magazines like Life and Time openly published photographs, statistics, even serial numbers, not for propaganda, but to inspire war bond sales. Their transparency was as bold as their scale. When Speer's analysts recalculated the data, even if Allied figures were inflated by 50%, American output still dwarfed Germany's. U.S. bombers required less than 1/3 the labor hours of German fighters, even though they were 5 times larger. Where Germans relied on craftsmanship, Americans relied on mathematics, on assembly lines, on precision and specialization. By mid-1944, Speer understood what Hitler never would, that the war wasn't being lost on the battlefield but on the factory floor. America's oil, steel, aluminum, and rubber production outclassed Germany's in every category. U-boats could not stop it. For every tanker sunk, another set sail. As one Japanese attaché observed, "This is not war as we understand it. It is industrial arithmetic." The technological gap widened further. America was mass-producing radar systems, proximity fuses, and turbochargers by the thousands, while German versions, when they existed, were handcrafted and scarce. Even German engineers admitted, "We are artisans, they are industrialists." By late 1944, the Luftwaffe was running on fumes. American pilots logged over 300 flight hours before combat, while German trainees averaged 50. Some never flew until their first mission. When Speer presented these findings, Hitler dismissed them as propaganda. "Wars are won by will, not by statistics," he snapped. But the numbers told another story. They weren't just statistics, they were destiny. By 1945, Speer knew resistance was madness. When Hitler ordered the destruction of Germany's infrastructure through the infamous Nero Decree, Speer defied him, writing, "They can rebuild in weeks what we destroy. We cannot rebuild in decades." The war dragged on, but its verdict had already been written in ink, steel, and production reports. By the end of the conflict, the United States had built 300,000 aircraft, 86,000 tanks, 2.6 million trucks, and 6,500 ships. Germany had built a fraction of that, and that's before counting the massive Lend-Lease support sent to the Allies. In a post-war interview, Speer admitted the truth. "We believed we could overcome production. We were wrong. The war was lost the moment we saw they could build 96,000 aircraft in a single year." Germany had gambled ideology against industry and lost. Because in the 20th century, war was no longer won by spirit alone. It was won by the factory, by logistics, and by raw industrial power. And in 1944, that power belonged to the United States.
Thanks my all friend watching my video. Please subscribe my channel. One like, one comment. Please give me.